Guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we have an absolutely amazing figure to take a look at today, potentially and most likely the largest Nanmu figure that they have made to date. This is their Brachiosaurus, and you can quite easily tell that obviously by the thumbnail and the title of the video, but also by that beautiful head sculpt there on the front of the box. And if we kind of, pan out here, we take a look at the entire thing. You can see a really nice image of the Brachiosaurus here on the front of the box with that really appealing and trademark Nanmu style to the box. You can see the really nice black and white images as well as the Nanmu logo. And then again down here it says Watchmen, which is the name of the Brachiosaurus, and overall, again, it's pretty much your standard as far as a Nanmu box goes, but the box is massive, and we do have both color variants here to take a look at, but since the boxes are so huge, there's no way I could have been able to put two boxes up here, and the only real difference is, for one, we have the image with the Brachiosaurus facing to the left, the other one, the image is flip-flopped and the Brachiosaurus is facing the right, and then, of course, the sides would have the alternating colors. So you can see this one has brown, which means this is the brownish version, and then the other one would have gray. So that's the only real difference between the boxes. But as usual, the box art is incredibly beautiful and very high quality. So let's go ahead, pop this out of the box right now and take a look at it. So as soon as we open the box, we have that beautiful art card that you always get when it comes to a Nanmu release, and this one has a gorgeous image of a Brachiosaurus walking along what appears to be maybe a valley of some kind, and then we also have some pterosaurs flying above. That's something I would like to see Nanmu take a shot at some point, would be a pterosaur. We've had plenty of pterosaurs in the backgrounds of the images and everything that we see here as far as these art cards go, but we haven't actually had a pterosaur yet from Nanmu. I'd really like to see that at some point. But again, the Brachiosaurus looks majestic and beautiful like you would expect her to look. And then here on the back of the card, you can see an image here, that really nice hand-drawn image. I always love this side of the card. Again, I say it all the time, I think I love this side of the card more than the initial colored side because I just really love the hand-drawn image type of a look for all of these different models that Nanmu releases, and this as well is another beautiful, beautiful hand-drawn version. And then, of course, you do get two because I have both variants of the Brachiosaurus, so each one comes with the art card. And then, speaking of two, we also have two of these guys. We do have a, I guess it's a park worker. It seems to be some sort of a park worker as far as, Jurassic World goes as to what we have this time, but nobody that is like specific that I can tell. We'll have to take a look at the figure, of course, when we get a closer look, and then we have a second because you, again, get a figure with each of the Brachiosaurs. So definitely got to check him out. And then, oh my, is this Brachiosaurus incredible. Here is the brownish version, and wow, to say that I am almost flabbergasted to see this in hand would be an understatement. It is huge, absolutely massive, so tall, and as usual, follows the same trend of the incredible quality that Nanmu releases. This thing is just as beautifully sculpted and as beautifully painted as a Brachiosaurus gets. Even if you're not a huge fan of the Jurassic Park style of Brachiosaurus, you cannot help but stand here and stare at this in awe. It is so incredible looking. And then, of course, we also have the grayish version as well. So if I can find somewhere to put this one to kind of have them both here, we'll get a better shot of them. And now you can see what it looks like to have two Nanmu Brachiosaurus. They are so huge. Look, they pretty much dwarf my backdrop back there. Like, I almost don't even need it because they're just so huge. They don't stay within the backdrop very well. But man, are they huge and incredible. Again, the paintwork of the grayish version is just drop dead gorgeous, just like the paintwork of the brownish version. I feel like the grayish version more closely matches the Jurassic Park Brachiosaurus, but I love the fact that we have two different color variants, kind of helping to create a herd of Brachiosaurus here before us. And they don't look exactly the same. Again, color variation amongst the different dinosaurs is always a great thing. And then there is also a standing rearing up version, which is on its way to me, so I will review that one when it arrives. But I am so excited to take a closer look at both of these right now, so let's go ahead and jump straight to a closer look. So straight away you can see that the head sculpt is beautiful. When it comes to looking like a Jurassic Park Brachiosaurus, it does not get any better than that. This figure, although obviously isn't quite as large as the Mattel version, I feel like is far more impressive and really captures the overall appearance of a Jurassic Park Brachiosaurus, again, to perfection. You can see the ears are sculpted out up here on the head. You can also see the nostrils are sculpted out. I can almost just envision this Brachiosaurus sneezing all over poor Lex right now with how gorgeous that head sculpt is. You can see the detailing aspect is phenomenal. The skin texture throughout the entire head is just nothing short of breathtaking, and they painted it beautifully with a few different variations of lighter and darker shades of browns, as well as given it a nice dark wash. It seems like it has kind of like a dark grayish wash, which helps the detail to pop beautifully. You can also see the eye is painted again. When it comes to Nanmu, there is nobody, I think, that can touch Nanmu when it comes to the realism of the eyes of their figures. The eye is incredible looking as far as the paintwork goes, or again, potentially a decal. I'm pretty sure it's probably a decal that they use, which in turn gives Nanmu again the most lifelike eyes of any company that is currently producing dinosaurs that I can think of off the top of my head. And it sports a beautiful gloss coat over top so that it shines and glistens like a real eye would. As you move down here into the neck area, you can see a little hanging skin right here in the throat region. Again, so many cracks and crevices within that area, just showing off the beautiful skin detail of the Brachiosaurus. As you continue to move down the course of the neck, you can also see how impressive the skin texture continues to be, and you can also see a really nice, very smooth transition from the darker brown to the lighter brown. And I'm also picking up, as I smack the camera with the Brachiosaurus because he's so huge, but I'm also picking up some variations of grays that show up here and there on the Brachiosaurus, like really slight areas of coloration change right there. Like here's a spot right here where I could see a little bit of gray again showing up. Looks like there's a little bit more here. It seems like maybe they've dry brushed some gray over certain areas of this Brachiosaurus, which I really like. I think that is just a very subtle area of color difference, and those are the type of things that I always feel like take a model from looking like a model to looking like a living animal. Those just real subtle color variations. And you can again see that this one sports beautiful coloration throughout, and it seems like there's like a nice lighter brown that's been kind of dry brushed over with a darker brown, because in some areas I can kind of see like a lighter brown creeping through a lot of the cracks and crevices of the skin. And down here we have the darker coloration that seems to have been given like the wash, the darker color, and then we have a lighter coloration that's dry brushed over top, which looks really nice. And I like the way that the lighter coloration kind of stripes in throughout the course of the neck, giving it a nice kind of striping effect as we run down the course of the neck. And you can of course see the size of the neck increasing as we get closer to the body. It gets absolutely massive once you reach down to the lower part before it actually hits the body. And you can also see some nice tensing in the neck of the Brachiosaurus in pretty much every area. Like you can really see some nice tensing that has been sculpted out within the neck. Like right here, you can really see like the musculature tensing in that area. And you can also again see the very nice coloration here to the underside, that nice light brown, which is really appealing to look at. I really love that coloration. And then as you reach down here into the chest, you see a lot of like skin wrinkles and stuff, skin folding going on, even within the front legs right here. And then coming over to the side of the Brachiosaurus, again, you can really pick up on the shoulder blade, beautifully sculpted out right there, as well as lots and lots of really nice skin detail everywhere that you see on this Brachiosaurus, like specifically right here. Look at how beautiful that skin wrinkling and skin fold going on right here. When the leg is walking here, kind of taking a step, you can see it pushing into the skin there of the stomach, and it shows that off beautifully in this sculpt, honestly, as realistically as it possibly could. As you continue to move down the leg, again, the shoulder blade is really protruding from the skin, really shown off quite nicely. Again, exactly as it looks on the Brachiosaurus in Jurassic Park. But as you continue to move down that leg, you can see how it's taking a nice step, picking that foot up off of the ground, and the entire structure of the leg is beautifully sculpted, as well as the muscle definition moving down the course of the leg also looks great. You've got the elbow back here, and again, just mountains of skin wrinkles and creasing in the skin shown throughout. You can see the wrist is very nicely sculpted as well. And then we lead down into that foot sculpt, and as far as a Jurassic Park style Brachiosaurus foot sculpt goes, that is as perfect as it gets. And you can also see again so much really nice color variation to the Brachiosaurus with different shades of brown using washes and dry brushing, and you can see that nicely here in the foot. As well as the nicely painted nails, they are painted with a black, kind of given a dry brushing of a brown over top, and they are glossed to perfection. And if you happen to see any paint on my fingers while I'm doing this, I do apologize, as I was just painting actually a figure that I will be reviewing here soon on the channel, but I now have paint all over my fingers, and these had arrived, so I had to get these guys filmed and reviewed right away. But you can again see the stomach detail looks great. We have this very nice light brown that runs up here throughout the majority of the stomach. Nice appealing look for the Brachiosaurus, and also really making all of this detail in the stomach region pop. You can really see the Brachiosaurus is nice and well fed, as we have pretty big size to the stomach area. You can also kind of see like osteoderms here and there, very subtle osteoderms on the Brachiosaurus. And the spinal column up there along the back is nicely elaborated as you run down the course of the Brachiosaurus. Once you reach back here, again, you can see the hip bone, pretty nicely elaborated there, but not overly elaborated, as well as some very nice muscle definition. And again, a super smooth transition from the brown there, the darker brown to the lighter brown, really realistic. And there's also almost like some light hints of like reddish browns that I'm picking up on here and there throughout the course of the figure. As you move down the rest of the leg here, you can see the kneecap is really nicely sculpted out here in the front of the leg. And again, the creasing throughout is just insane. There's just so many cracks and crevices, as well as skin creases, no matter where you look on this figure. It is, again, as highly detailed of a Brachiosaurus as you're ever going to find. You can see the calf muscle is also beautifully highlighted right here in the back of the leg, and then as you move down into this rear foot sculpt, it also looks great, just like the first foot sculpt did. And again, you can see this one is planted, holding up the rear end of the Brachiosaurus, as this leg here on the opposing side is just picking up off of the ground, taking a step, and you can see the nails again are painted beautifully, same style as what we had seen on the front leg with the black and then a brownish dry brushing. As you lead back up into the leg, you can see the skin really nicely stretching off of the tail here, as this leg is kind of stretched forward as it was taking a step. You can see it's kind of pulling the skin right there, and that is very nicely shown off in the sculpt. And again, the paintwork is phenomenal. You could see so much detailing with the way that they've utilized dry brushing and washes on this figure. As you continue to move out the length of the tail, again, the skin texture looks incredibly nice, as well as that very nice paintwork. Honestly, expertly applied paintwork as you reach the tip of the tail. There is a slight curve as it ends here, kind of going in an upward fashion, but it looks really, really good. And now if we can turn this around without smacking anything because it's so huge, again, we've got the really nice head sculpt. You can see how beautiful it looks from this side. Again, picture perfect placement of the eye paint or decal. You can also see, if we could turn it, actually, let me see if I can try to get a front-facing shot of this gigantic beast. So it's not the easiest thing to do because I have to kind of wedge the dinosaur in here, but you can see how beautiful the front of the head looks. The nostrils up there on the top of the head look great. And then again, that classic front-facing view of the Brachiosaurus like you kind of see in the tree scene in Jurassic Park. It looks so awesome here on this Nanmu version. But again, as far as the opposing side of the head goes, again, the paintwork is beautifully done, very precise, and the sculpt is just as incredible as we had seen on the initial side. And of course, you're going to see that same style of sculpt and paint as we lead down the exceptionally long neck of the Brachiosaurus. As it thickens closer to the body, you can see it becomes massive once we reach down here into the body. And yet again, just like the opposing side, you can start to see some of the like tensing in the neck here, the musculature of the neck. As you lead down here into that front leg, you can really see the shoulder blade, but on top of really seeing the shoulder blade on this side, you can really see tensing massively in this front leg, because of course the opposing leg there has already left the ground. You can see the Brachiosaurus is taking a step, which means this leg here, the front leg on the right hand side of the Brachiosaurus, is supporting all of the weight currently of the dinosaur, and that is why you see so much tensing in this leg. It is holding up the entire front half of this Brachiosaurus, which, trust me, would be a lot of weight, and they have captured that aspect perfectly in the sculpt. You can see the muscle definition is beautifully done, and then you can also see again the elbow back here, as well as that beautiful foot sculpt here on the front foot here of the Brachiosaurus. As we lead back up into the stomach region, you can again see some more skin creasing, skin wrinkling right there, as well as skin stretching here with the leg as it's trailing. You can see it stretching the skin off of the stomach, but this leg here again being so defined and tensing really shows off that skin wrinkling right there. You can also see lots of skin wrinkles and stuff here in the lower part of the stomach region of the Brachiosaurus, as well as, again, cracks and crevices for everyone as you lead up the course of the stomach, and you see that really nice light coloration as it transitions back to the darker brown, or actually I should say variations of darker browns, because there's numerous variations of it. And there's also a very nice, again, kind of like a dark grayish dry brushing that seems to be applied in certain areas, like I could see it right there specifically. And then as you lead back here again into the hip region, you can see the hip a little bit is nicely defined, as well as, again, the muscle definition, but it's not tensing like we had seen on the previous side because this leg is leaving the ground currently as it's taking a step, so it wouldn't really be tensing quite yet. And that is also nicely shown off in the sculpt, and you can again see the kneecap right there as you lead down into the foot. The foot sculpt looks beautiful, just like it did on the opposing side. And then we lead out the length of the tail. And again, the dark wash just makes those cracks and crevices pop so nicely on this Brachiosaurus as we have that nice, very slight, elegant curve to the tail. And then if we can try to find a way to look at the underside here without breaking something, you can again see that the underside is just gorgeous. I'm going to have to move the camera back a little bit. You can see the underside looks beautiful. Again, really nice color variation. You can actually see like areas of off-whites or light grays as well as like this yellowish brown, which looks really neat to have color variation included. You can see all of the detail everywhere looks incredible. Wow, the skin wrinkles and skin creases and everything on the underside are just phenomenal. The legs are kind of obscuring it, but it really looks great. And again, you lead up the length of the neck. So the brownish version is just drop dead gorgeous. But that leaves us with the grayish version. And again, in my opinion, probably the more Jurassic Parkish coloration of the two. But you can see again, as far as this one goes, the sculpt is going to be exactly the same. We don't need to like review any of the aspects of the sculpt really on this one because we had already done that with the last one. But this one, we really need to just take a look at what's different coloration wise. And again, the color looks fantastic here in the face. You can see that we have some nice light browns kind of here from the underside leading up into the snout of the Brachiosaurus, but then it transitions to that nice dark gray. And the dark gray has been dry brushed beautifully with a lighter gray throughout the entire head sculpt, and it just makes that detail pop in the most realistic way possible. You can also see that the nostrils are highlighted with a darker coloration, making sure that they stick out like they should. And you can also see again that the eye has been given that kind of decal type look, again really looking as lifelike as it gets, and then also sporting that perfect gloss coat so it shines like a real eye would. And then as we start to move down the course of the neck, again the coloration looks pretty similar to what we had seen on the previous one, and that's great because that means they look like they should be part of the same herd or family even though they're not exactly the same color. I 100% could see different variations of Brachiosaurus being different variations of color. So you could see again that we have a nice brownish coloration, even some areas of like a light tan, because specifically this kind of like skin here hanging from the underside of the throat has a little bit of a lighter tone of color, like a light tan or an off-white, and then we have like browns down here. So there is even some color variation there, but you can also again see the beautiful variation of gray up here. Again, all of it is really nicely dry brushed, and I can also see that sort of striping effect similar to what we had seen on the brownish version is present on this version as well. And again, there definitely seems to be like some variations of gray, like it's not just one dark gray and then dry brushing. There's definitely been some alternate tones of color included, and you can even see darker variations of browns popping up, like there's like yellowish browns, and then there's lighter browns, and then there's even a little bit of like darker browns that kind of stripe in. So lots of color variation. And again, that's one of the many things that I love about Nanmu is just how realistic and lifelike their paintwork is, because they don't just give you like a few different shades of color and then throw a wash over it and call it a day. They give you lots of variation of color, which is exactly what you would see on a living animal. In fact, there's almost like a bluish tint to some of the gray, which is really cool now having it up here in the light. Something I would not have noticed at all if this weren't held up to the light. Like right here, there's a beautiful kind of a bluish gray, which is super cool. And again, we can see that the variations of brown are really abundant as you get down here toward the chest of the Brachiosaurus. You can see so many different variations of lighter and darker shades of browns leading down into that area. And again, we can see that the gray like very smoothly transitions back, and also very smoothly transitions back over here to the lighter coloration of the stomach region, which I love. Again, that we have this nice light off-white here, but then you also could see some of the variations of browns, a very appealing looking brown, and again, very reminiscent to how the Brachiosaurus looks in Jurassic Park. I feel like they nailed the coloration of this as perfectly as you honestly could when it comes to a Jurassic Park style Brachiosaurus. You can also see as we lead down into the front leg, you continue to have those really nice dark variations of grays, and I can really pick them out now in the front leg. Like you could see different areas of lighter and darker shades of grays
I don't know how noticeable it is on camera, but here in hand, in the light, it looks really good. And you can also see the variations of browns as well, picking up as you move down the course of the leg. And then you reach that foot sculpt, and you can see that the entire thing looks fantastic. And we also, again, have the nails painted the same way, honestly, as the previous Brachiosaurus, with the black and then the kind of brown dry brushing, which looks really nice. I just can't get over how nice the stomach area looks as far as the variations of browns and then the lighter kind of an off-white. It looks so good. And you can continue to see, again, some of those like bluish tints up here to the top of the Brachiosaurus. Like they really pop up here on the top, which I really, really like that. And then again, look how smooth that transition right there is in the thigh, from the gray to the brown. Incredibly smooth, and there's actually color variation right there. Like we go from the dark gray to a dark brown to a lighter brown, and it's so smooth you almost don't even notice that there are variations of color in there. It is so nice. Again, visually one of the most appealing looking dinosaur models I think I've ever seen. And then again, you can see that the gray runs the course of the leg as we see the nice coloration of the toenails here on the back, and then also the super smooth transitions again between the grays and browns. And then we lead up here into the tail, and again, the coloration is as picture perfect as it gets. And I like back here that you can kind of see the gray has run down here and been dry brushed over the brown. So now the gray and brown have a really nice mixture in this area, something that I don't think I really noticed anywhere else on the Brachiosaurus as we were taking a look at it. But the underside also sports, just like the other one, again, color variation as we have shades of browns and off-whites and even yellowish browns here to the underside, looking very lifelike and very realistic, making sure it continues that trend of having gorgeous looking skin tone throughout the entire course of the Brachiosaurus. And again, same deal over here. Look at that head sculpt, man. Cannot get over how beautiful that looks. And again, the paintwork applied, it is just so appealing to look at. And then you run down the course of the neck, just like we had seen on the previous side. Again, the different variations of browns and grays, as well as the incredibly smooth transitions back and forth between those colors, reaching down here into the body. And again, you could see the absolutely gorgeous looking color variation in the stomach. Due to the color of the stomach being so light, that brown really shines in the stomach region and just pops, and in general makes the entire Brachiosaurus look so flashy just in that one area, but using, for the majority of the body, darker tones of color. It's just a very, very nice looking coloration for the Brachiosaurus. And you can also again see that the color looks very nice and precise as far as the way it's painted, just like we had seen on the previous side, as I almost knock over the backdrop with the Brachiosaurus. And the paintwork continues to have that absolutely beautiful, majestic beauty to it. And again, this Brachiosaurus is phenomenal, just like the previous one was. I don't know which one, honestly, I would say is the superior of the two. Potentially the grayish version, just because I feel like it more closely replicates the Jurassic Park Brachiosaurus, but they are both as beautiful as it gets. And then we have our InGen worker here, and I definitely feel like that's what we were going for as far as this human character goes. He doesn't seem to have a likeness of anyone specifically that I can recall. If you happen to know maybe who he is replicating, if it is in fact a specific, InGen employee, definitely let me know. But he looks really good, and I would love to apply some paintwork to him. After the Baryonyx review and I had applied the paintwork to the Gar from that set, I am very interested in applying paintwork to a lot of the human figures now in the Nanmu line, as I usually get, again, one color variation of each, which supplies me with a figure I can keep original and then a figure I can repaint. But he looks really good. He's obviously holding a weapon, and I guess would potentially be aiming it at our Brachiosaurus, but with such a gentle giant, why would you do that? You'll deserve to be stepped on when the Brachiosaurus does notice what you're doing. But again, really nicely sculpted out human character, a beautiful figure to go along with an incredible Brachiosaurus. Now, as far as a size goes on this Brachiosaurus, that is going to be a task for sure. And I don't know exactly, honestly, how I'm going to do it with how tall this Brachiosaurus is. We could try to move the camera up here a little bit. There, we can definitely get it up to the head sculpt there. For a height, again, it's huge. For a height, you are looking at a little over 16.5 inches, or around the 42 centimeter mark. So huge when it comes to the height. And then for a length, if we go from the tip of the tail in a diagonal stance up here to the top of the head, you are looking at about 20.75 inches, just shy of actually 21 inches, or about the roughly 53 centimeter range. So pretty darn big. And for a size comparison to show you that, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, and Robert Muldoon from the Mattel Jurassic World toy line in comparison to our Nanmu Brachiosaurus. And wow, what a visual that is. The Papo Rex is a pretty big figure himself. Not gigantic, but definitely quite sizable. And you can see how these Brachiosaurus tower over him by a mile. That is honestly unbelievable how large these Brachiosaurus are in comparison to all of these figures that you see here before you. And then for another comparison, here is the Nanmu female Tyrannosaurus Rex in comparison to the Brachiosaurus, showing you that at least this Rex does have a bit more of an impressive size compared to the Papo Rex, but obviously also showing you that the Brachiosaurus doesn't care about that because it is still as massive as it gets and really, really outsizes that Rex. For another comparison, we also have the Nanmu Sinoceratops, again, showing you how massive this figure is. So if you are a collector of the Nanmu line, you'll probably have one of the figures that we've taken a look at here in comparison, so that should help again to show you that this Brachiosaurus is easily the largest Nanmu figure yet. As far as large Nanmu sauropods go, we have the Apatosaurus here in comparison to the Brachiosaurus, and although the Apatosaurus clearly has a much more impressive length, you can see that the Brachiosaurus still is just massive in comparison to the Apatosaurus and still outsizes it quite a bit and drastically outsizes it as far as a height goes. But it's really cool to see the Nanmu sauropods here together. Definitely a very fun visual. Could make for some incredible dinosaur toy photography if you're trying to capture the overall beauty of Jurassic Park. I feel like a nice visual of these sauropods out in a field would be a great way to go. And then the figure that previously I would have said would have been probably the best representation of a Jurassic Park Brachiosaurus, the Papo Brachiosaurus here, in comparison to our Nanmu versions. And you can see the Nanmu versions are huge. Again, just really, really outsizing pretty much every other sauropod that I put before it. And the only one, honestly, I think that could outsize this would be the Mattel version, but you could see that, again, these Nanmu Brachiosaurus are much, much larger than even the Papo one. Once I get the rearing up version of the Brachiosaurus, I will bring both of these Brachiosaurus back in as far as the other two Nanmu versions here and compare them with even more sauropod figures and whatever figures you are interested in. So if there are any figures specifically that you would like to see a comparison with these guys here, in the review of the rearing up version, make sure you let me know in the comments section and I will include those in that review. So these two Nanmu Brachiosaurus, the Watchmen Brachiosaurus, are two of the most impressive figures that I have ever seen in my entire life. Again, they take lifelike to new heights when it comes to just how real these two Brachiosaurus figures look. In fact, just standing here kind of staring at the head sculpts, they look 100% alive. It is that incredible how high quality the sculpt and paintwork is. And those eyes, they really just bring the Brachiosaurus to life. Another level of realism are the eyes of the Brachiosaurus. But again, the sculpts are just as beautiful as you could possibly imagine. Like, they could not be any more highly detailed than what you have here from Nanmu. And on top of the incredible detailing showing off every ounce of skin wrinkling, skin creasing, skin folding, skin stretching, everything, again, shown off in the sculpt perfectly replicates every ounce of movement of the Brachiosaurus. But on top of that, the overall appearance, again, in my opinion, captures the Jurassic Park Brachiosaurus better than anyone ever has before. And again, I think it's even better than the incredibly large Mattel version, which not everyone's going to look at the Mattel version and say, wow, that's an incredible figure. But because of the entire size of it being so huge, it makes it one of the most impressive figures I've ever seen as far as a Brachiosaurus goes, until I met the Nanmu ones. Because in my opinion, these Nanmu Brachiosaurus are far more impressive than the Mattel version, because although both pretty perfectly capture the overall appearance of a Jurassic Park Brachiosaurus, the realism here of the Nanmu version is just off the charts. And in my opinion, the sculpt and paint combined make this Brachiosaurus far more superior than any other Jurassic Park style Brachiosaurus that has come before it. And if the incredible sculpt and incredible paint wasn't enough to please you, you have a gigantic size to it, like massive. When it comes to a Brachiosaurus, the size of this is unbelievable, especially when it comes to a model like this. Like, I don't think I have
any other sauropods or any other Brachiosaurus in my collection aside from the Mattel one again that can keep up with this one as far as a size goes, making the figure even more impressive. And you also have the beautiful art cards as well as the really cool park worker figure that goes with it. So as a whole, this is insanely awesome and easily one of the nicest and most impressive releases from Nanmu yet, which is something I say almost every review because they continuously one-up themselves, but I honestly don't know that they could ever one-up this. I guess we'll just have to sit back, wait, and see what the future holds as far as the Nanmu line goes, but this, again, is definitely one of the most impressive models I have ever seen in my entire life, and there is no question about that. So if you are interested in this, make sure you check the link in the description, as I will include a link to where you can purchase this on Dan's Dinosaurs. So make sure you head on over there, pick yourself up this fantastic Brachiosaurus right now, and make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.